Hi everyone, hope you are enjoying all these sessions. In this video, we are going to discuss about tourism industry in a very nutshell because last few sessions we discussed service industry, service sector, its background in India, and at the same time we also understood its features. So now the tourism sector as a service industry, how it is in Indian context. So that is the main the issue of this the lecture. In that context, we will learn the tourism industry from Indian context. You will be exposed to all the basics of tourism industry. So we are not going to discuss very in detailed fashion and just only basics. So if you see the Indian context tourism industry at a glance, its contribution to GDP, right? So the GDP contribution is it's expected in between 2018 and 28 around 7.1% annually. So if you see the another important thing as per WTTC, World Tourism and Travel Council, no, it is actually India ranked 10th among the 185 the countries in terms of travel and tourism in total contribution to GDP in 2019. During 19, the contribution of the travel and tourism to GDP was 6.8% of the total economy. So that is what is actually the main issue. So further, if you see that the higher investment, so there is a highest possibility for investment in tourism, and it is actually increasing the visitors exports. And because outbound travel is very high when you look at the India. Unlike past, now Indians are able to travel across because they have the purchasing power due to the new economic the policy. So the another important thing is the visa policy. Now there is so much liberalization and the relaxation of the visa process. As far as tourism is concerned, you will find very friendly atmosphere as far as India is concerned. So further, if you see the tourism in India, so India is always in the advantage position because of its vast the backdrop, right? So for throughout year, 365 days, always you will find attractions and then demand for tourism in Indian context because it's the natural resources and then art, culture, heritage, traditions, whatnot. You will have all these as backdrop of the tourism attractions, and then throughout you will find the people will be coming and then the spending time in the destination of India. So that is the way you can see very important the significant the factor in Indian context. So the tourism has that much a role. So when you see that the evolution of the Indian tourism sector, so it actually started in a formal way in the year 1982 because the first tourism policy was introduced in India, and since then you can see that the pre-1990 it is all about the formulation of the policies and then developing the tourism in the different states. So everything happened in between 1900 and 2000. So in between you will find that many countries the focused on tourism, and at the same time, so we are almost all at par. India also geared up and then looked at the potential of tourism sector, and then with that, the many states now they just came forward, allocating funds and then developing the projects and then focusing on tourism for employment generation for many reasons. So you'll find that the tourism sector slowly picked up in between the 1900 to 2000, 1990 to 2000. So at the same time, in the 2005, there is a national level policy of tourism was announced in the 2002. So with that, you will find there is another robust the growth and development that took place in tourism. Now, if you see that recently in 2015 onwards, you will find the government of India has introduced many schemes and then many programs. With that, the tourism, e-tourism, e-tourist visa also introduced, launched in the same period, and you'll find many people that started traveling. And at the same time, travel and tourism sector accounted for 8% of the total employment of the opportunities in 2019. So you can see that the 8% of employment that is coming no, from the tourism sector in the total employment of India, right? So in that context, you can see that the tourism and as an important the field, you can see how actually tourism the segments are no, looking like. So I think you can understand the tourism segments in India. So it is all about the mainly accommodation sector and catering, the food services, and then transportations, and then attractions, that is the destinations planning, development, and then the maintenance of the destinations, and travel agencies. It's like no the tour operators and travel agents. So they just look at all these dimensions. So these are the mainly the 5 dimensions or the 5 segments of tourism industry in India. So you can see one important thing is accommodation sector, then the transportation, so the destination attractions, and the travel agent tour operations. So tomorrow we are going to deal with all these the segments in the industry. So further, if you see the emerging the tourism the segments in India, so these emerging tourism segments, so that is recent developments and then future developments in India. So as far as rural tourism is concerned, you will find that there is a lot of emphasis on the rural tourism, right? So rural tourism is one important dimension in Indian context, because our nation mostly with the rural the characteristics. So with that, you will find rural tourism is now the emerging area, then adventure tourism, medical tourism, heritage tourism, luxurious tourism, eco-tourism, pilgrimage tourism. These are all the recent developments that are taking place in Indian context. So that is one important thing that you can look at as an emerging the conditions. So the another important thing that I would like to discuss here is domestic the consumers to lead the growth. So here in India, so we have the huge domestic the market, the domestic the tourism. So because you might be knowing that, so the domestic tourism and outbound tourism or inbound tourism, these are the 3 main issues. Inbound is the foreigners are coming and then visiting our nation. So then outbound is our people are going out. So if you see the domestic tourism, so that is a huge segment. So if you see the share of the tourist by expenditure in 2019, so domestic the tourist expenditure is 83%, whereas the foreign visitors spending is only 17%. That means now our inbound tourism is very, very less, and then within the nation, so the tourism that is happening is very high. So as far as expected the share of the tourist by expenditure by 2028, so by the time you will see that the domestic the spending is 88.65, and then so the international is 11%. So the domestic tourism is going to increase. So that is one prediction that is happening. So then another important thing that I would like to discuss here is it is all about the tourism business segments. So there are 2 major segments, like in terms of the packages, leisure segment, and then business the travel segment. Now the leisure segment is the huge, the 94%. Business segment is just only 6%. So the people traveling for leisure purpose is the huge in India, whereas the business travel is very less. So that is one important the point that you can understand from this the slide. So further, if you look at the major the companies across the segments, so if you see the segment like the online booking, so Make My Trip is the leader, and you can see the revenue that they generated out of it, and then other major the players are Yatra.com, Yatra, and the Clear Trip, and there are many the people are there. And at the same time, if you see the hotel sector, the Taj is the leading, and then there are Oberoi, and then many national, international brands are there to provide the accommodation sector in the different segments. So that is including the ITC, Oberoi, and then Marriott. So these are the the main segments, and then the players of hotel. As far as tour operations is concerned, Thomas Cook, SOTC, Cox and Kings, Raj Travels, and then Kesari Travels, and then the Janita Travels, and the Tours Travels, the companies, and then Akbar Travels. There are many the tour operators in the industry. They are providing all the services to industry the customers. So this is what actually the major segments of the tourism industry. So now let me stop here. As far as this tourism industry, the background, the brief background is concerned, I hope you have got some idea about what is this the tourism industry is all about in Indian the context. So thank you very much, and then we'll meet in the video 15.